Yeah, I'll share what I think is a funny story. Hopefully you'll agree. This is going back a little bit. It was when I was working at Salesforce, and as part of my responsibilities, I was the business partner to the chief product officer of the company, working in FP&A. And I had just started this relationship, and so our first one-on-one, we sat down in his office, and we're in the middle of a quarterly outlook budget cycle. And he had a bunch of questions about the headcount, who we are going to hire, and so on. And just frankly, I wasn't as well prepared as I probably should have been, and I had inherited a little bit of a mess that I hadn't quite reconciled, and wasn't the best meeting. So we went through that for the first probably 30 minutes or so, and for of an hour-long meeting, so we had a little time. And I said, hey, do we have some time? Do you mind if I talk to you about another topic? In this case, it was about our pricing strategy for one of our key product lines. And so the key product officer says, sure, what do you have to say? And I kind of walked him through my perspective. I had done some research on some different metering models that competitors were using, and how we may want to consider a shift from how we were pricing today and do better compete in that market, and kind of went through the spiel for a good 10 minutes or so. And he just patiently nodded and listened and nodded, listened, and got to a point where I sort of, had things to say. And he kind of said, well, are you done? I said, yes, I am. And he just had a wry smile and said, okay, here's my advice to you. Why don't you figure out the effing numbers first, and then we can talk about strategy. And he kicked me out of his office. So that was a pretty rough way to start that relationship. Now, I could have just cowered away and said, okay, well, that's not good. I'm going to not want to engage at a strategic level. But I didn't do that. I made sure that I got the numbers straight and continued to press the agenda on those strategic conversations. So fast forward a year later, I'm sitting in the same guy's office, same conversation. We wrapped up on, in this case, we were talking about some important M&A targets that we were contemplating and thinking through, what that might look like and where that might open up the roadmap and new markets that we're examining. And he paused again and he said, Naeem, I never get to think about strategy except in our one-on-ones. And that was over a matter of 1 year. So, it's, I think, such a good lesson in many ways. I think, first of all, like, you have to earn the privilege to have a higher order conversation by doing the basics well. And so, and I was presumptuous to say I was going to get into the clouds and talk about these big things when I didn't have my numbers in order. And so that was a real hard lesson for me to learn. And I've held with me for many, many years is, build a foundation, then build a house. And the second lesson I would share here too is don't give up. Just because it didn't work the first time, or you got pushback, or you didn't have trust or alignment, that's okay. You got to keep at it. And so I didn't let that dissuade me. I mean, my ego was hurt more than a little bit, but in the end, continue to work at it. And we built an incredibly strong relationship. I still consider this person who's gone on to be a successful investor, a mentor of mine, and someone I really look up to. And it could have gone a different way. I could have just said, you know what, that's okay. That's not my role. I'm just going to sit here and count the beans, but that's not the path I took. And, I'm really fortunate because that relationship and that conversation opened up a lot of doors for both me personally and for the company.